You've said it out loud. You've written it down. You've visualized it. You've made the plan. You've told yourself, this time is different. This time you're serious. And then, slowly, quietly, without even fully realizing it, you stop. You miss the gym for 3 days and then somehow never go back. You start the business and then find 100 reasons why the timing isn't right. You get close to something real, a goal, a relationship, a version of yourself you actually want to be, and something pulls you back. Every time. And the terrifying part? You can't explain it. Because consciously, you want it. You genuinely want it. Nobody is forcing you to stop. There's no obvious reason. Just this invisible resistance. This wall you keep hitting that has no name and no face. So you tell yourself you're lazy, undisciplined, not cut out for it, not the kind of person who actually gets the thing. But here's what's actually happening. Your conscious mind wants the goal, and your subconscious mind is quietly, efficiently, invisibly rejecting it. Not because it's broken, not because it's working against you, but because it is doing exactly what it was built to do. And once you understand what that is, the wall doesn't just make sense. It starts to come down. Before we go any further, we need to understand what the subconscious mind actually is. Because most people have a vague idea, and vague ideas produce vague results. Your conscious mind is the part you identify with, the voice in your head, the part that makes decisions, sets goals, reads books, watches videos like this one. It is logical, intentional, forward-looking. But here's the number that changes everything. Neuroscientists estimate that your conscious mind processes around 40 bits of information per second. Your subconscious mind processes around 11 million bits per second. Let that land for a moment. Your subconscious is not a background process. It is the operating system. Your conscious mind is just the screen. And your subconscious has one primary function that overrides everything else, keeping you consistent with who it believes you are. Not who you want to be, not who you're trying to become, who it already decided you are, based on years and years of accumulated experience, emotion, repetition, and identity. Dr. Bruce Lipton, a cell biologist who spent decades studying the relationship between the mind and behavior, found that by the age of 7, most of your core subconscious programs were already written. Your beliefs about safety, about worthiness, about what people like you are allowed to have. By 7. And here's the part that matters most. Those programs don't just sit quietly in the background. They run constantly, automatically, and they filter every single experience you have through the lens of what they already believe to be true. So when your conscious mind sets a goal that conflicts with a subconscious program, the program wins. Every time. Not because you're weak. Because you're running on code that was written before you were old enough to question it. Here's where it gets deeply personal. Your subconscious doesn't just store information. It stores identity. A deeply embedded sense of who you are and what someone like you is capable of. And when you set a goal, a real goal, something that would genuinely change your life, your subconscious runs it through a filter. A single, silent question. Is this consistent with who I am? If the answer is yes, you move. Easily. Naturally. Without resistance. If the answer is no, the resistance begins. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance. The discomfort your mind experiences when your actions conflict with your identity. And the subconscious will do almost anything to resolve that discomfort, including sabotaging the very thing you said you wanted. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Someone who grew up being told they were bad with money, not once, not twice, but consistently, over years, develops a subconscious identity around it. And then as an adult, every time they try to save, invest, or build financial stability, they hit a wall. Not because they lack the knowledge, but because their subconscious is running a program that says, people like me don't have money. And it keeps making that true. Someone who grew up in a chaotic home where love was unpredictable develops a subconscious belief that stable relationships aren't safe. And then as an adult, every time they get close to something genuinely good, they pull away, create the fight, find the flaw. Because their subconscious is running a program that says, love doesn't stay. And it keeps making that true. Someone who internalized early that they weren't particularly smart or talented or worthy of being seen develops a subconscious ceiling on their own success. And every time they get close to breaking through it, they stop just short. Because their subconscious is running a program that says, people like me don't get that far. And it keeps making that true. The goal was never the problem. The identity underneath the goal was the problem. And no amount of motivation, discipline, or visualization changes the identity. Now let me show you the biological mechanism underneath all of this. Because this is the part that most people never hear, and it explains everything. Your brain has a built-in system called homeostasis. You've probably heard of it in a physical context, the way your body automatically regulates temperature, heart rate, blood sugar. It detects deviation from the set point and corrects it automatically, without you deciding to. What most people don't know is that this same mechanism operates psychologically. Your subconscious has a psychological set point, a familiar baseline of thoughts, behaviors, emotions, and circumstances that it considers normal, safe, known. And whenever you try to move significantly beyond that set point, through a new goal, a new behavior, a new identity, your subconscious registers it as deviation. And it corrects, not because the new thing is bad, but because it is unfamiliar. And to your subconscious, unfamiliar and unsafe are the same thing. Dr. Maxwell Maltz, a plastic surgeon who became one of the most influential psychologists of the 20th century, discovered this while working with patients. He found that people who changed their physical appearance dramatically through surgery often returned to the same emotional state, the same behavioral patterns, the same life circumstances they had before, because the outer change never reached the inner set point. He called this the self-image. And he spent the rest of his career proving that until the self-image changes, nothing else permanently changes. Here's what this means for you practically. Every time you try to build a new habit and your motivation disappears after 2 weeks, that's homeostasis pulling you back to the set point. Every time you get close to a breakthrough and suddenly everything falls apart, that's homeostasis pulling you back to the set point. Every time you make real progress and then inexplicably self-destruct, that's homeostasis pulling you back to the set point. You are not failing. You are being corrected by a system that was designed to keep you consistent and has no interest in whether consistent means good for you. Here's what nobody tells you about trying to change your subconscious programming. Logic doesn't work. Your subconscious doesn't speak in logic. It doesn't respond to plans or arguments or rational reasons why the goal makes sense. It doesn't care that you've read the books and watched the videos and know exactly what you should be doing. Your subconscious speaks in 3 languages only: emotion, repetition, identity. Emotion first. The subconscious encodes experiences based on how strongly they were felt. The beliefs that are running your life right now were not installed by information. They were installed by moments that carried intense emotional weight. A parent's words delivered with anger or disappointment. A failure that happened publicly. A moment of rejection that landed at exactly the wrong time. The emotion is what burned the program in. Which means, to change the program, you need emotion on your side. Not information. Not willpower. Emotional experience that contradicts the old belief strongly enough to begin rewriting it. Repetition second. Your subconscious learns the way a path forms through a forest, not by one dramatic clearing, but by being walked the same way thousands of times until the path becomes the default route. Neurons that fire together wire together. Every time you think a thought, feel a feeling, or perform a behavior, you are reinforcing a neural pathway. Change requires walking a new path so many times it becomes more worn than the old one. This is why change feels so unnatural at the beginning. You're not on a path yet. You're pushing through undergrowth. And your brain keeps pulling you back to the familiar trail. Identity third, and this is the deepest one. Research by psychologist Dr. Tara Swart shows that the subconscious responds most powerfully to identity-based input. Not, I want to be healthy, but I am someone who takes care of my body. Not, I'm trying to be more confident, but I am a confident person. The language of wanting keeps you in a state of lack. The language of being begins to shift the set point. Your subconscious doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. So here's what actually works. Not hacks, not shortcuts, but the real mechanisms that begin to shift the subconscious set point over time. First, find the program before you fight the resistance. The next time you hit the wall, instead of pushing harder, get curious. Ask yourself, what would I have to believe about myself for this pattern to make complete sense? Because the resistance always has a logic. It is always protecting a belief. And when you find the belief, you find the real work. Write it down. Say it out loud. Give it a name. Because the moment you can see the program, it loses some of its power over you. You stop being the person unconsciously running it and start being the person who can examine it. Second, use emotional reconditioning. You cannot think your way out of a subconscious belief, but you can feel your way into a new one. This is what visualization actually does when it's done correctly, not imagining the outcome, but generating the emotional state of already being the person who has it. The feelings of safety, pride, confidence, belonging, held long enough and repeated consistently enough, those emotional states begin to lay new neural pathways, begin to shift the set point. The research on this is remarkable. Neuroscientist Dr. Joe Dispenza conducted studies showing measurable changes in brain structure in people who practiced sustained emotional visualization consistently. The brain began to reflect the imagined reality before the external reality had changed at all. Your subconscious cannot fully distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. That is not a metaphor. That is neuroscience. Third, change your identity language. Starting today, audit the way you talk about yourself, to others, and inside your own head. Every time you say, I'm trying to, replace it with I am. Every time you say, I'm not good at, replace it with I'm learning to. Every time you say people like me don't, stop the sentence entirely. This is not positive thinking. This is identity architecture. You are deliberately feeding your subconscious a different picture of who you are, consistently, repeatedly, until the set point begins to shift. Fourth, lower the threat of change. Remember, your subconscious rejects what feels unfamiliar. So instead of trying to make a dramatic leap to the new identity all at once, make the smallest possible move toward it. Not, I'm going to become a disciplined person starting Monday, but I'm going to do one small thing today that a disciplined person would do. Each small act that doesn't trigger the homeostatic correction is new data for your subconscious. Evidence that the new identity is survivable, safe, possible for someone like you. You're not trying to convince your subconscious with words. You're convincing it with experience. And experience has to be built one small moment at a time. I want to close with something that I think is genuinely important. If you have spent years feeling like you're working against yourself, like you want things you somehow can't let yourself have, I need you to hear this clearly. You are not self-destructive. You are not broken. You are not someone who doesn't deserve the things you want. You are someone whose subconscious is running a program that was written a long time ago, by experiences you didn't choose, in circumstances you didn't control, at an age when you had no ability to question what was being installed. That program made sense then. It was protecting you then. It was doing exactly what it was supposed to do. But you are not 7 years old anymore. And the protection you needed then is the ceiling you're hitting now. The work, the real work, is not about wanting harder. It is not about being more disciplined or more motivated or more serious about your goals. The work is going underneath the wanting, finding the belief that says you can't have it, sitting with that belief long enough to understand where it came from, and then, slowly, patiently, repeatedly, showing your subconscious a different story. Not the story of who you were told you were, the story of who you actually are. You are not your programming. And the moment you truly understand that, the wall stops being a wall. It becomes a door. If this video reached something in you, share it with someone who keeps stopping just short of what they actually want, because they probably think something is wrong with them. Nothing is wrong with them. Their subconscious just never got told the truth. Subscribe for more of this. The deep stuff. The real stuff. The things that make you feel a little less alone in your own head. I'll see you in the next one.